Welcome to my channel, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today is October 5th, and the market the past 2 days has just been relentless. With Trump, ever since he got COVID, the market's been rallying very hard. I'm going to go over my sentiment, how we've been able to capitalize very well, how we've been able to capitalize on a lot of supply and demand trading setups the past 2 days. I'm going to go into detail on some of the trades that we took today in the Discord room. I'm going to go into some of the potential plays, and I'm also going to break down a little bit of the market sentiment, where I think the market's heading, and why I think the market is reacting the way it is. So before we do begin this video, I do trade recaps like this on a daily basis on my Instagram. I will link this in the description below. It is definitely worth a follow. Like I said, daily trading recaps. I post really good options trading tips and tricks. So this is definitely worth a follow if you are not following it already. So without further ado, let's get right into the trade breakdowns. So now we're in the Discord, and I just want to give you all a little bit of my outlook and where my sentiment and my plan was on Friday once Trump came out with that news that he had COVID. So really fast before we get into the Discord, you all know that have been following me for a while that I love news events because they give us the best opportunities for very high quality of trades. So right here, if I maximize this sell, right here is when Trump came out that he had COVID and the market started tanking. So usually when the market tanks like this creates a very good supply area. So I'm just going to note this zone right here, which is a half hour, a 1 hour supply zone because of these two 30-minute candles. So I'm going to extend this to the right, and I'm going to make this a pink box, just noting that it's a supply zone. So this created a valid supply zone, and look where price drops. Price usually drops into a demand zone before bouncing. This was a very strong 4-hour zone. So keep in mind, this is in the pre-market now for the S&P 500. So going into the market, my plan for that day, the cash session, was this. So I'm going to have a lot of people that may disagree with me, but I thought that this Trump COVID news was very bullish. Keep in mind, this is on Friday before the market even opened. I'll explain with a couple of reasons. With the leader of the country having COVID, he wants to prove that it's nothing to worry about. So this is blah, blah, blah. Push for the vaccine. He has the virus. What better way before elections for the vaccine to come out and for him to take it and proves it works? That's just my crazy analysis. But overall, the point with this is that I believed that the market was going to be very bullish. Usually, if you have a lot of traders being very bearish, so it's common sense for him to come out with a news article and, everybody's freaking out. They're saying, oh, I want to sell my shares. I want to sell my position. Everyone's freaking out, thinking the market's going to tank because the president has COVID. You have to listen to what price tells you, not what the news tells you. Price will tell you a better story, as it always will precede the news events. What I mean by this is that price will always come into a zone and usually bounce, 80% of the time. So we came into this 4-hour zone and we did bounce, and that was my overall bias this day, as we did open up right where my cursor's at and did bounce perfectly at this 4-hour demand zone, which gave us a nice entry to get long here. And if you do trade futures, it gave us nice entries all in the pre-market session that day. Then we did rally, and look where we rallied at. We rallied perfectly right at this supply zone where he came out with the news article that he had COVID. So my plan was to either watch for the market to rally at the open, hit supply, and for it to chop going into the weekend. It was a Friday, and usually Fridays will tend to be choppy days as they need to burn premiums for option sellers. So we hit the supply and we were choppy going into the weekend. And that's going to bring me into what happened today. So now fast forward to today, we didn't have any really valid demand to play off of, as the market was basically in no man's land, not between any imbalances. We broke above the supply zone, so this becomes invalid, and we did create a little bit of demand in this area. We did reject supply a little bit. This was a valid short to the downside, but I really wasn't comfortable, especially with tech stocks being strong, so I didn't take this trade short, and I told everybody to be careful with the strength going into supply. As I could see it, breaking to the upside, as we do have further supply on higher time frame a little bit above. So we broke above this zone, and now this is also invalidated. Now this is what is key on the 3-hour zone, and this is the trade that we did take today in the Discord room. So what I was watching was for ES to reject this high a day for a short. If we start moving down, I'm going to long puts, putting a couple cent stop above high a day, targeting the 3375 area, which was demand. It was a potential double top at supply. I post this all the time on my Instagram. Double tops inside supply give us extra confirmation to take the trade short. So the high I was watching was this high right here. We double topped inside that high today. And then I wanted to get an entry as close as possible as I can to this high. You know, you could get an entry here. You could get an entry here. You could get an entry here. It doesn't matter. As long as your risk, you respect the high a day. You put it a couple cents, a couple of ticks above high a day. Keep in mind, we're talking about SPY options as an instrument to trade. But anywhere in this area, as close as possible to high a day. The closer you get, the higher your reward is going to be. So at this point, we were really risking about 3 points from the high. So about 3 points to make 10 points to the downside. And my target was the 3375 area, targeting 3375. The reason for 3375 was this demand zone right here. Came up to supply and we based out, followed by another straight move to the upside. This becomes demand right here. So that was my target, and this was a good trade, risking about 3 points to make 10, 11, 12 points. So about a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk to reward. This was a very good trade that we took today in the room. And then eventually we hit the demand zone, and then this thing started rallying. Trump said he was coming home from the hospital today. So the market, agreed very well with that, and we rallied, and we actually hit 3,400 perfectly. Missed this 1 hour by a tick. So the past 2 days overall, very, very bullish. Like I said, if everybody is on one side of the market, usually the opposite is going to happen. Everybody was so short biased once he came out with the COVID news that we had the opposite reaction. So if everybody's on one side, do the opposite. Do not follow the masses. Don't stick with the herd. Do your own thing. Respect your plan and stick to the supply and demand imbalances. Next trade I want to break down is Nvidia. Very simple plan. We had daily demand and we also had supply zones that I wanted us to basically find value in, base inside, and to take long, targeting the next supply zone that we had above. Now this is the picture on Nvidia. Let me maximize this and I'm going to show you exactly what I had. So this pink line right here is a 4-hour zone, which we were opening up inside to. I don't have a rectangle because if I did, the chart would look very much, almost the full thing would look pink, and I don't want to have a large zone confusing myself. But what I saw this morning, if I go into the intraday commentary tab, was Nvidia. We were holding inside the 4-hour supply zone, and we were basing out after a strong move to the upside. Keep in mind, at this point, we had supply about 2-3 points higher. So if I go to a smaller time frame, you're going to see exactly what I saw. This is my favorite scalping strategy. I have a video on this on my channel, talk about it all the time. It's basically where we make a move, price balances out, and we make another move higher to the upside, and my target is the next supply zone. So if you did not take this trade long, I personally took this long this morning at this candle right here, and I sold as soon as we got to the supply zone. I missed the second rally. But another valid entry, which was in the plan, was inside supply. If you base out and form new demand, that is a valid entry to get long. So we came inside of the 535 supply zone, based out, came up, market participants agree on price inside of a supply zone. That's telling me sellers are not ready to take this lower. Sellers may not be present, and you have buyers basically bidding the stock and not taking us outside of the supply zone. So anywhere in this area would have been a valid place for you to get long, anywhere in this area. Putting your stop below this low, so really risking about a point, point and a half, 2 points at max. And then we did break above the supply zone, came back down, retested VWAP. We VWAP bounced. That would have been another valid entry point. What else? And then we came in, we closed the gap from the previous day, and then we basically double topped and chopped all afternoon. But the point is that it gave us plenty of opportunities to get long once, twice, and even 3 times today. Now, every tech stock pretty much was very strong this morning, so there was zero reason to short it. You don't want to step in front of the train. Let it work itself out. If you miss an entry, who cares? There's always going to be another trade around the corner. There's no reason to fight strength and try to short a market that is very strong, and especially that we have a bias with all this Trump news. But here we have Netflix. Here was my plan this morning, the zones I was watching, and in the intraday commentary tab, we had supply, but the plan was to watch a pullback to get long into, and we were going to target the 516 2-hour supply. That was at 9:56 a.m. And that is right here where my cursor's at. So there was no reason to short the market yet. And exactly what we did happen here was we based out and we formed, I want to say, this is a 10:15 to 11, about a 45-minute demand zone in this area right here. So this formed demand. If you want to make it exact, I would make it to the low. So we did form demand and we wait for price. We hit the supply zone and look where we pulled back right into the demand and rallied end of day. So my goal was to long pullbacks inside demand or long pullbacks speculating that demand was going to form. And this was a good trade on Netflix, gave us a nice opportunity for the long side. Let's get into ROKU here. Same exact thing. We came down into this demand zone. Look at this volume spike here. Pretty strong volume, 208,000 shares. Pulled back towards the late afternoon inside this demand and rallied end of day. Boeing was a very good trade. Boeing actually hit the demand zone pretty perfectly. Let me pull up the plan here. So I was watching for a drop into the 2-hour demand where I'm going to look to take long around 167.55. Currently trading in 169 in pre-market. But that's besides the point. Look what happened. We opened up. We hit this 2-hour demand literally by a couple of cents. We hit it inside. Bounced off it perfectly. Didn't really give us the best of entry to take it long. Had a nice lower wick, but this hits the demand zone. You have to respect the zones and respect the imbalances. And then this thing pretty much rallied. But the point is that we hit the zone by literally 5 or 10 cents. So that was a nice one. NASDAQ, again, another example of basing inside of supply. Came up, rallied. Look at this base. 1 time, 2 times inside supply as a valid entry to get long. So this was a good trade. Again, no reason. I put this in the group chat. There was 0 reason to short the market today with all the strength. Besides when we got choppy in the afternoon and we took that SPY short at the double top, there was no reason to short any tech stock that was showing any signs of relative strength in the market today. It's all about being able to recognize opportunities, executing, and following your plan. You're not really supposed to ever have a bias in the market. You have to just respect your zones and play the strategy accordingly. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. Hope you took something out of it. If you did learn something, drop a like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and stick around for the future videos. Thanks.